Good afternoon, everyone. How we doing? This is Nate G. I just want to check and see, is D-Man here still? Have you left? You're here, right? Okay. Just I there was just kind of one thing that I wanted to sort of point out. If you could just look at the screen here real quick.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Got money on my mind, I can never get enough.
That's all I got to say. Uh, I know the contest wasn't going fine. You changed the rules, you moved the bar. You know, that's okay. It's a fun contest anyway. Obviously I had to play that real short, just in case for any copyright sort of situations. But there you go. I hope a bunch of you hit that one as well. Obviously, the bulk of that trade was taken off, at 25 and at 50%, and that's sort of the game, right? It's not like, I put on a massive trade and held for a full 100%. I scaled out, right, and that's how traders do it, right? Oh, the bar's getting moved to 200 now. But because D-Man has a goal of one long, one short, 100%er, I've got to beat him to that, just for my own, just for the sake of the contest. I don't know if that's going to be possible. The market's going to have to stop doing this for that to happen. At least on the Spire SPX. So we'll see. And also, I'm at a bit of a disadvantage because he can sit there and look for charts and setups, and I'm about to dive into an hour-long training where I'm not even going to be looking for good setups. If I was feeling real adventurous, I would try this signal we're getting right now with a SPY put. Maybe here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to put one on, just so I can say it happened, if it happens. Right? I mean, to win, you only need one contract, right? I'm waiting for this. I'm going to get to my lesson. I'm sorry. That's not what this session is about. It's not about the ego contest between D-Man and myself. It is about learning. So, I'm just going to put a small guy on here. A little put trade. This is, by the way, this is risky. Why is this risky? Why is this risky? There's a number of reasons, and this plays into psychology, okay? So please, yeah, I bet you've got a couple on. I'm literally willing to lose this whole thing, this whole contract, because I'm gonna turn away from it and start teaching a completely different thing. Right? I'll glance at it on my other screen occasionally, but it's risky because I'm trading on emotion. Right? I am trying to short the market at an order block and a potential. We have a potential sniper 1.0 turn happening here, but our ticks are way up here at the plus 900s. Like this is not bright, but I wanna play this game. So and I'm it's something I'm willing to do. So the disclaimer is I don't recommend participating. a bunch of good winners today. It's a small risk. What am I risking? $130, right? To compete with D-Man. Yeah, a sniper 1.0 is about to trigger, although we're still trickling up, and this is the problem, right? So I just want to be very, 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 very clear. This is just so I can play with D-Man while I'm teaching. That is it. I do not recommend this for anyone other than my stupid self. Are we clear? Okay. Okay, so today's lesson is going to be on setting up a trade plan. Could you please explain more instead of saying this? What do you mean? I just explained why this was super risky and I don't recommend for a number of reasons. The one trade I was looking about on setting up was on this Nike 15-minute and 30-minute. I'm going to set up a trade plan for a TPS style trade. For those of you who were in here yesterday for Nate's session, TPS stands for trend, right? Pattern and squeeze, right? And that means that the market is, or the name is consolidating, and we are going to try and get in the right pattern during a squeeze. And generally we're playing those long. We can play those short, but probably 80% of those are played to the long side. And I'm going to teach you how to find the chart, less about finding the chart, but we're going to look at a few charts and decide which one we want to mark up. And then figuring out what risk reward looks like. And then also what, don't you dare, D-Man. What did you just hit? You hit 100% to the short side? Come on now. On what? You big liar. All right, I'm not going to let you distract me. Oh, 350? All right, that's fair. I mean, had I not had that trigger, had an exit set in there already, mine would also be up quite a bit. Probably not 350. You're a better man than I. But it didn't happen for between 1 and 4, so nobody cares. All right, moving on. You've distracted this lesson. You go sit in the corner. Oh, God. Okay, so I liked Nike on this 15-minute, 30-minute after this gap up, which we can talk about setting up a trade plan on this. TMUS here on this 15-minute and 30-minute sort of starting to set up is one that I do like quite a bit, which we can set up. And I was also looking at FI, kind of this 78-minute, 65-minute. The big issue is from a TPS perspective, we don't, because the market has been pulling in the last 3 days, a lot of the things that we're setting up, that were looking good, have kind of broken down, right? And so finding a really good looking TPS setup today for this lesson has been difficult. And so I guess my question to all of you, and I guess I could run a poll or just, do the 1 and the 2. For the sake of this lesson, would you put, and just wait till I finish my put a 1 and put a 2 in chat, and then I'll tell you to put them in. If you'd like me to use a current live setup for this lesson, that might not be quite as crisp, please, I want you to put a 1 in. If you'd like me to use a setup from 2 or 3 days ago using the rewind feature that is beautiful, put a 2 in chat. So far, 1 and 2. Shoot. I guess I could do a 1 and a 2. That's not a terrible idea. Yeah, that PLD chart is pretty nice. What's that thing look like right now? Let's see here. PLD 130. Oh, don't start working slow on me. What's happening? There we go. Yeah, look at that thing. I mean, we looked at this yesterday. Yeah? Yeah. I didn't take a trade on it, but I know LL, Larry Liv, did. Oh, Nate, you got your 100er? Nice work. All right. Well, I had one yesterday and today. I'm going to try and get another one, but we'll see. Okay, got that rollover. Got those ticks coming down. Let's see what happens. Okay. So let's start with Nike and TMUS as current charts. And then I can show you how this unfolds later with charts that are potentially, that happened like 2 or 3 days ago, but have really, really good setups, right? So I like Nike on this 30-minute chart. It's beginning to break out. And so the way we look at these charts is, obviously we're in a squeeze here on the 15-minute. And we're extended, right? This is how setting up a trade plan is really important. So if I'm looking for Nike to consolidate here and push up, let's say, to 82 or whatever, as is going to be our target, is this where I want to buy Nike? Or set up an option trade on it and purchase it right now? Would I want to purchase it right this second? Right? No, because it's extended and my risk reward. So let's talk about risk reward here first. Is you can see here on volume profile, I'm going to draw a line right there and I'm going to make it red. Okay. That's my very clear point of control. You can see that over here with the volume profile. If I make it wider, right, we can see that. And right now, that's going to be our major level of support. And so we are pretty far away from that. And we've broken the more recent high here. So I don't want to buy it up here because I don't have a clear area in which to stop out, right? So let's say I thought I was going to play this to 82, right? And I put, let's say that's my target. And then I come in here and I use this risk reward tool, this long position tool. And let's just delete that. And I put it right here where we are about to make this trade, hypothetically about to make this trade, right? And I move my target to that 82 and I move my stop here to, let's say, the point of control. This is basically a 1-to-1 risk reward, right? A little bit higher reward, but not by much. And if you're a 50% trader and your risk reward is always stuff like 1-to-1 or even worse, you're not going to make money. Okay? So what we want is something down in here, right? Where we have a risk reward, and you can see where it says that this is a great tool if you have TradingView. It gives you 1 to 4.2 risk to reward, right? And so basically I want to look at this chart and say, okay, I'd like to participate in Nike. I want Nike has gapped up, it's consolidated sideways, and now it's going to continue to move up. I want to figure out a way to participate. Now, Nike could just go without me, and that's fine, right? not being in a trade is not losing money. Okay? So what I want to do is figure out, okay, I want to participate in Nike. I like this chart. I'm going to put it over here on my watch list. So here I'm going to just add NKE. All right, that's on my watch list on TradingView. And now I want to set up a trade that's going to work. So I need to find out what my support and resistance levels are, what my target is, and where a good entry is going to be. So on this 15 minute, it almost looks as if our 15-minute squeeze is going to fire, which means it might just go without me, right? Our 30 minutes just developing, so I want to play this on a 30-minute, unless it's just going to go, right? And if it's going to go, fine. I missed it, no big deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to find a value area low on this 30-minute chart. And I kind of think it's right around in there, which I'm going to make yellow. I tend to make my value areas yellow, value area high and low. My point of control, I make red. And then my targets, I make green. Target 1 and target 2. Okay. So this is magically might just go without us, but the trade plan still stands. Okay. So now on the 30-minute, I've kind of made some lines that I am interested in, but I need to look at this on more of, I look at it on a 1-minute, but we can look at it on a 5-minute chart. And we zoom out and we get some more detail, right? And we say, okay, here's the detail. Now, what's happening here is if you were in my session earlier today on the sniper trade that we watched for about an hour, we are getting a breakout, right, of this most recent high here, right? So we're getting a breakout and a retest. So we push up, we retest, and this could mean we're going to retest and go. And so if you're kind of day trading, an entry, here could have been pretty interesting, but that's not what we're setting up now. You see how there's so many of these edges that kind of work in together and affect each other, that there's more than one way to skin a cat, so to speak, right? So I'm going to come in here and now I'm going to set up a trade plan that I can enter later, okay? If this comes down in. And I'm looking at now that we're looking at a 5-minute chart, I'm looking at my value area low, and I see a couple of wicks down below that, but I don't see too much actual breakage other than this early on, right? So I like where that's at. That's at 80.11. If I felt really adventurous, I could slide it down to about 80 because I've got some wicks that are down there. But, I kind of like this 80.11, keep it a little bit tighter. That would be my stop area, okay? So I'm even going to label that as stop, okay? So, and when I say stop on that area, that does not mean on a 1-minute chart, a little wick below, and I'm stopping out. So for instance, if I had already been in this with this as my stop level here, yeah, we broke that level, but we didn't have a candle close below that. And even more importantly, I'm playing this on a 30-minute. These are 5-minute candles. We definitely didn't have a 30-minute candle that broke below it, right? So knowing that you should be taking your trade off at you should be managing your trade on the same time frame chart that you took your trade on is really important, because it's really easy to get into the minutia on a 1-minute candle for a trade that you took on a 30-minute chart. And even here, like, look at this. That on a 1-minute chart is going to be pretty scary, but we didn't close below our stop area on the 30-minute chart. Right? What's my SPY trade sitting at right now? Hold on. All right, we've got some percents to go, so we'll just leave it for now. But it's working, right? If I wasn't trying to compete here with D-Man, this is already this put trade, sniper put trade right here. Sorry, I'm jumping from one thing to another. Is now at 25%. I'd be taking that off, right? And I might. Oh, I only took one. I was gonna say I'm gonna take a chunk off, but I only took one, so it doesn't matter. Right, because I'm over here teaching in this other thing. Okay, so now I'm going to come back to a 5-minute chart. Everybody understand, kind of how to manage and stop out of trades. Now, what looks like is happening is a breakout and then a reclaim of the pattern. Okay, which means we're typically going to get a move, back down into major support, and sometimes a reverse of that, which is a false breakdown and then reclaim. Right, as long as the market wants to hold. Now, this is kind of this green line is just sort of an area, so it could decide to hold right here. Being that this is actually the top of this wick. But we're going to watch it from here and see what happens. If we start to come back down into VWAP, there's opportunities there. Now, what I'm going to do is if you see this volume profile area right here, the biggest chunk is kind of like right in there. So at about 80.40 or 80.50, I'm going to put my cursor in here, and I want to know if price comes into that level. So I'm going to right click it and I'm going to add an alert on Nike. If we cross that 80.50 level, I want to know about it. Yeah, so the long position and short position is right down here. It's this guy right here. Okay, you pop that open. You choose a long and a short. And then I'm going to set up a proper risk reward. So I'll show you how to do that right now. So we're looking at about 80.40. I want to know if the price comes into that level because I want to see if it'll reverse. You can use kind of a sniper 1.0 style trade in that area, on a 1 or a 2 minute. And what I'd really like is to get this off of either point of control or my stop area, right? So I'm going to put in our box. This is our long position box. If I'm able to get this off of point of control and I use, that 80.12 as my stop and I do a target number 1, which is a break of the high, that's a 1 to 4 risk reward. Okay? But I'm also going to take my Fibonacci tool and I'm going to measure this pullback high to low. And then I am going to put another target at the 1272 extension, which is there. I'm going to make that green. And for this trade, that's going to be target number 1. So let's make it green. And I recommend, if you are new to setting up trade plans, to actually take the time and then look at this. 82 that I picked earlier is basically at the 1618, right? Which would be my target number 2. Okay. Oh, let's make that green. Everything's got to be perfect and uniform, right? So let's get rid of that high there, okay? So now if I play the bulk of my trade, and we'll talk about what options to get into here in a second, right? If I play the bulk of my trade here, if I can get it lower, that's great. If if it comes down into 180.50, let's say, and looks like it wants to bounce, that's fine too. I just change my risk reward profile and see if it's still a trade I want to get into. It's still a 1 to 2.6 risk reward. That's still a valid risk reward for me, right? So that would be a good entry. And so to target number 1, we're looking good. Does anybody have any questions so far? Yeah, I've just named them. And yes, Fog, this is recorded. Jan R, you can see them over here. Stop. I haven't named point of control, but here, I'll name that one. Is that what you mean? I had named that one? POC? Okay, and then target number 2 is going to be just for a trailer. So if let's say I took 5 contracts in this, I would take off 3, at least 3 at target number 1, if not 4, and then leave a trailer on for 2, for the target number 2. Okay, so yeah, this is a TPS trade. We have a squeeze on the 15-minute and a squeeze starting on the 30-minute, and those are the time frames I'm trading for this chart. But I am now looking at it on a 5-minute so I can see more detail. Does that make sense? So that's a great question. So when you are looking on a smaller time frame, you're not going to see a squeeze down here. But you have to remember the squeeze I'm playing is on a 15-minute. Right? Or what was when I started this, it is setting up. There's 2 dots on a 30-minute squeeze. And I'm using the pro version, so those brighter yellow dots are the beginning of a higher compression squeeze. Okay? But now that I'm setting up my lines and my trade, I like to look at a 5 or a 1-minute chart. But that's not the chart I'm taking the trade on. Okay? So now we have a point of entry. We have an alert to let us know when we're coming into that point of entry, potential point of entry. We have a risk reward that fits our or my risk profiles, right? We have targets that we're going to take this off. We know that on the underlying stock, we're risking 19 cents here to make $1.18. Now I'm going to go over to the option contracts, right? And I'm going to look at what we've got. This is a 15-minute squeeze. So if you felt aggressive, you could take options that expire this week. Or if you're feeling safe, if you want to feel safe, you can come out here and take an option that expires next week. I mean, you could even go out even further. But 15 to 30-minute squeeze, you really only need about 7 days or less, generally. Sometimes they go sideways forever. But this will either resolve itself to the upside or the downside probably by next week. So let's say we look at the 81s, slightly out of the money, but a 50 delta. Okay, so a 50 delta means for every dollar move, that option contract is going to move 50 cents. So the 50 deltas, let's put the trade plan in here. Okay, so I'm going to, oh, that was green because of all I do is win-win business with D-Man. We are looking at the March 7th. $81 calls at basically a $1.50 a piece, right? Now, I'm not putting on a trade right now, right? I'm not putting on a trade. 143. When am I going to hit 100% here? Hang on a minute. That would be 286. We're getting close. All right, I got an exit order in. What the hell? Yep, I got an exit order in at 100% on these here, by the way. Yeah, I just checked it. I have alerts set on my uh, ticks, and when they cross 600, it gives me a little ding. Looks like we might be getting a little of rotation. I think we're at least coming into VWAP, and I want it to take me out. We are pretty darn close. Although I'm sure D-Man took a different one, and he's gonna jump in here and go, "Hey, there it is. Got mine before you did." Whatever. I don't like that guy anyway. Um, I'm kidding, by the way. If you haven't figured it out already, I generally communicate through sarcasm. It works very well in my personal life. So now I have the March 7th. So now when my alert goes off and I'm over here looking at, FI, trying to figure out what I want to do with FI, and I get an alert that says that's gone off on Nike, right? I can come over here and I can go, oh, okay, I'm looking at the March 7th for next week, $81 calls at about 150. Now they're not going to be exactly at 150 at that point, right? But that's kind of what I'm looking at. And I could even give myself more information. These things will stay on your chart. That's not what I wanted to do. Don't do that. Stop it. Right? I could even give myself some more information and say, at $1.50 a piece, I'm going to take 10 contracts. Right? And that's going to be $1,500 in total, in total invested position, right? Oh, why didn't that show up? Oh, there it goes. Okay. So I'm looking at taking 10 contracts, or you could say 20 contracts, or or whatever your risk profile is. That's going to be important. And what you need to be able to figure out is how much an option is going to move, right? How much an option is going to move to the downside. You need to understand the risk profile that you have here. So that's 19 cents on the underlying, right? Which really by the time we stop out is going to be more like, 25 cents. Right? And so for every dollar move, this is a 50. The problem is this won't be a 50 delta option when we get down here. It'll be different. But the idea being, when you pop open your option contracts, you might decide to take the 80 calls, right? That'll probably be pretty close to a 50 delta at the time, right? And then when you have something that has a 50 delta, it's really easy to figure out if that option contract moves $1. If the underlying Nike moves $1, my option contract is going to move up or down by 50% per contract. Right? So if we took the 150s right now at 81, let's say, right? And the market just moved up to the 82s, right, up to 82, and we took profit, what's that contract going to be worth, roughly? I mean, this is not an exact science because you have theta and IV and other things that are going to affect the price, right? But it's going to increase to $2, right? So your 10 contracts, let's say, if we put it on right now, right, at 150 or wherever, let's just say it's at 150 right this second. Our 10 contracts, that's going to be, $500 in profit because it was $1,500 total investment, right? So knowing what that's going to be is important, as well as knowing what your stop loss is going to be and how much you're going to lose if it goes against you, right? It's always more fun to try and anticipate what that cost is going to, what your profit's going to be. But the real game happens when you learn what your stop loss is going to be, right? So you can calculate, does this fit with my total risk? Like if your max position size is $1,000 and you're taking delta 50s, right? And your total, you're the max loss for any one position, is $200. Well, that other zero is weird. They're thick and then thin. You have to say, okay, what's the distance from my entry to my stop point? How many contracts am I taking? And if I lose that value, right, if I have to stop out, do I stay under my $200 max loss? If not, if it's more than that, I need to lower my overall size to make sure that my overall max loss per trade doesn't get exceeded. So does anybody have any questions on that? So here I'm just waiting, right? This might never come down and give me an alert. It might never provide an entry. We could this afternoon or tomorrow, we could wake up, Nike's way up here. I missed it. Fine. Right? I missed it. No, I don't put in a hard stop unless I know I'm going to be gone, Nancy. I'm in front of my computer most days, so I can watch this and make sure. Because if you put in a hard stop, you get a little move like this, right here. That's going to stop you out unless you put it way down here. And really, the chart's not broken because we're playing this on a 30-minute. Oh, we're getting a bounce. What did I get to, do you think? I probably got pretty close to like 80% or so. Not quite. All right, maybe we'll continue to roll. We'll see. Ticks are coming back up, though. I hope all of you hit that. Don't you dare, D-Man. You did not hit. You got 90-something%, and you're going to lie about it, and just to win. If you're not cheating, you're not trying, right? 157. All right. Well, you know what we'll do in that case? Sorry about that. Did not mean to do that. What did I just do? Here we go. There you go. I'm on camera now. You happy? Are you happy, D-Man? Thank God it wasn't you who had to be on camera. You know what I mean? All right. Well, most of this is going to be me looking over here because my screen's on this side. No. That's nobody wants to see that, Joey. Nobody wants to see that. The one and only. The one and only. I don't have a DPL hat. Mods, can I get my DPL hat? No, you're not allowed to take screenshots, Fog. You've lost privileges. Oh, shoot. Yeah, I took one for the team. That's exactly right, Jay Diesel. I took one for the team so you didn't have to look at D-Man. That is hilarious. All right. Let's see. 157, huh? So does anybody have any questions on making a trade plan here on Nike? We'll do another one, but I just want to And then this is why when you're in the room and you hear myself or D-Man or Nate go, oh, I'm getting into Nike here. I'm taking, 10 contracts or whatever. I'm getting into Nike here at 80.34. And you're like, why? I don't understand how they knew. Like, the market's been open for 3 seconds. And all of a sudden you found an entry. Like, I don't understand how that makes sense. Like, how can I do that as a new trader, basically, right? And it's because we've gone through our charts, looked for setups, scanned for things that we look for in our trades, either in the pre-market or the post-market or during like the lunch hour, and it's slow. And when we've set our alerts, we've created a plan. We have if-then statements in either written or in our head. If this comes to POC, I'm going to take full entry. If this comes to VWAP, I'll take a starter entry. And then if it comes into POC or the stop area, I'll add full. If it breaks those areas, I'm out. Those are the things that for many of you, you should learn how to write first and put on your charts. But then secondly, just being able to formulate that plan so that when a name that you like does come into a level that you want to take a shot at, you're ready. You already know. Ooh, March 7th, $81 calls on Nike. I pull up my option contract. Bang, bang. It was super easy to enter. I know what I want. I know how much I want to spend. And I know what my risk is. Right? That's how we set up a trade plan. So let's do one on TMUS. Okay, TMUS is on the 30-minute chart, has a light squeeze going at the moment. On the 15-minute, it has a normal squeeze. I'd love to see a yellow. See, we're starting to get an A+ squeeze that just sort of changed to yellow. It's not sure what it wants to do right now. This might be something we could enter right now. But I've earned the right to look at this and go, yeah, I'm buying that right now. But I don't think anyone else has if you're new. Okay, so we need to make a trade plan. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put a value area low right there where this gap up and this candle touch this morning. All right, I am going to come up and draw a high there. This is our range that we're going to play in. As you can see, we're sitting right at a point of control. This is the largest node right here, right? And if you're all buying TMUS as I'm doing this, that's not fair, but you go right ahead. Everybody can do their own thing, right? We're coming up into that point of control level, okay? I'd like to get up and above it, but if I then go, okay, I'm going to do, I'm going to measure this pullback. I'm going to mark the 1272 right at about 175. I'm going to mark that as green. See how this kind of goes fairly quickly? So now I have point of control where we could potentially take an entry. I have a stop level. I'm actually going to put a secondary stop level below this swing low, or the value area low, right below this swing. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to look at it on a 1 minute because it's only been kind of 2 days. Right, you can see this level here. You can see this level here. That's a good support level. So there's a possibility for another bounce there. You can see that our point of control level is actually correct, right? We don't need to move it now that we're looking at a 1 minute chart. And I want to look at the risk reward. So I'm going to measure the risk reward all the way down to the bottom. And then I'm going to come up here to the actual 1272 extension on this. and we're looking at a 1 to 3 1/4. So that's better than 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. That's what I would like to see. And this is a nice risk reward, a good setup. If I come back out and I look on a daily chart, right? We're way up here by highs. Let's say I'll hide that. We're consolidating near all-time highs on TMUS, right? So this is a good-looking chart. We've had our pull. Now we're working our way back up. Those two inverted shooting star thingies, candles, whatever we call those, are a little scary, but I'm still okay with the overall pattern. Right? This looks really, really nice. I like this flag that's forming here. Right? And we've got kind of almost a flat bottom, but if you kind of include that wick, we've kind of got a flag going. And I would like to play this for a move higher. So if I bring up my option contract in TMUS, this is, a 15-minute chart. We could go out to, if we wanted to be more aggressive, we could say the 270s. We could even kind of lotto style this if we wanted to. Maybe play the 275s, although we've really got to get some movement to happen fast. Or we could play out to next week. So there's sort of two options here that I'm going to put on the chart. I'm going to say aggressive is the Feb 28 270s. Conservative is the March 7th. $270s. Right? But we're shooting for a move up in a break of the high and into 275. Is earnings soon? Yeah, earnings not until April. This is dividend. Right? So you see we're kind of coming up against that point of control level and we're rolling just a little bit. But I personally don't think we're going to come all the way down back to this level. But we're consolidating sideways in TMUS, right? So in this one, I don't necessarily need to wait for a trigger. Based on risk reward and based on the plan, I could put this on right now. Right? So for me, I'm going to try an aggressive play. I'm going to try the 270s for this week. See if I can get them for like 218. There we go. Yeah, Todd, and that's, a lot of times you'll get a market flush in the morning, right? To shake out weak hands and whatnot. And that's what, like on Nike, that's what this alert down here is, in the hopes that we get a little bit of a morning flush and we can take a trade down here. Okay, so we have a trade plan on TMUS, and I actually just put that one on. but understanding that our stop is going to be about $2 lower from here. If we really start to collapse, I'll probably take it off at 268. So really, that's only about $1, right? If you want to keep things a little bit tighter and have a stop at that swing low, that actually works just fine. Yeah, you can look at option chains in TradingView. I have not played with that all that much, but you can. But I just use my regular trade platform option chain. Somebody put one in here real quick. I got about 9 minutes left. I was in at 218. EXPE was an example. Yeah, EXP is interesting. It's coming into that anchored VWAP. So not much to do there. You thought I asked for number one? Well, we did two live examples. So for those of you who are new, for those of you who have been in the DPL room, I know this is I probably do this at least once a month or more in terms of talking through how to set up a trade plan. I also have a bunch of videos on setting up trade plans on individual stocks that are obviously in the past, but you can learn a lot from those. But this is kind of the most important thing. If I had to pick one thing that I would say a new trader needs to understand is you need to have a plan in place on your charts and not just blindly buy, even if it's a recommendation from Nate Bear or myself. Like, pull the chart up and go through this exercise and stick with your rules. And then if your rules and your trade plan are causing you to stop out too much, revise the way you do trade plans, but don't revise your trade plan on an individual trade while you're still in the trade, right? We call it the big D. It's discipline, right? So if I'm trading this and it comes down and it breaks my stop, but then I'm like, let's say it just kind of works its way down here. It breaks my stop, comes back up, and I'm like, oh, it's going to make it back in, and then it starts to roll, and I'm like, okay, well, it's going to bounce here. Here I'm 30% down, and then I was hoping it would break through, and it didn't, which is a clear sign that it's going to roll further. And then it's down here, and I'm down 50% on my trade, and I'm like, well, I mean, God, I guess if it came down to this low over here, it might find some support and bounce, and then I can add here and save my trade, and I do add here, and it comes here, and yes, I just want to get back to break even, and then, oh my God, it's rolled to here, and now, I'm coming into the end of the week on a short dated option, and I'm 90% down. God, what do I do? I'm just the worst trader ever. And really, you're spending these, I don't know how, let's say that takes 3 days, right? You're spending those 3 days fretting over a trade that is losing you money by the minute, right? And that is most likely unsalvageable when you could have seen that this candle broke on the 30-minute chart, right? We always, if we're playing the 30-minute, we want to make sure that a 30-minute candle breaks, and then a new candle opens, and we're below our stop level, and we just say, you know what, this trade's done, cut it. Yeah, it's a 25% loser, fine. I'm going to make that up in the next trade, no problem, because it'll be a 50 or a 75% winner. But this is the single hardest thing. The single hardest thing to do is to understand your trade is broken and cut it. You have to be a machine like D-Man. Have no feelings whatsoever other than wanting to make me look bad while I'm teaching because you got 157%. Right? Just cut it. There's another trade. If it reclaims, it comes back into the pattern, you'll probably have another opportunity to buy, and then you're in this trade again. Lost 25 there, but now you've got this big move here and you've made 75%. Okay, so 50% overall. But if you don't have a plan, that's problem number one. Right? Let's look at problem number one is no plan. Problem number two, and this is the big one, you can't follow your plan. That's follow your plan and then revise plans, revise how you make plans to become a better trader. Don't revise your plan mid-trade. I can't stress that enough for anyone that is new. And for anyone who is not new, this is a problem that all traders struggle with. I will still, even last week, I made a mistake last week. I let something that had busted continue to go. And then I had to stop, take a harder look at myself again and go, you just have to cut this thing because you're going to stare at it for the next 3 days. And it might get better, but the chances that it is going to get better are pretty slim. And listen, I've bounced a lot of bad trades and made a good trade out of a bad trade. And that's the worst thing you can do because it gives you this false sense of confidence that every time a trade breaks, you can trade yourself out of it. Right? So the thing we do in here is we go over things like this time and time again. Right? We go over things like this. People come into chat and they say, you know, God, I'm down 80%. What should I do? And we say, you know, are you willing to have this conversation and, you know, have a growth mindset? Because it doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't even make you a bad trader. It makes you someone that is wanting to learn how to get better. And if you share that with the group and you allow us to use your example to teach it, then you're helping everybody. Right? So we do this time and time again. Talk about volume profile, talk about levels, talk about psychology of trading and why we do things and why other people do things and how we can take advantage of that. You're always trading the other traders, right? You're never trading. It's not just you in a vacuum. Trading is a zero-sum game. You lose money, somebody makes money. You make money, somebody loses money. Right, so it's not a fair place to play, and so the more you can understand how things work and how to be a successful trader, the better off you're going to be on your own. So for those of you who are not in here, I know today and tomorrow we have a $300 off. Is that right, Mots? $300 off. Highly recommend jumping in here. I love teaching. It's one of my favorite things. I love helping people learn to do things that I love to do. And it's why I coach as well in my personal life. And, It's a fun community to trade with people because you're not alone. You're not sitting in a room by yourself. So, hope to see y'all in here. That's it for me today. Nate, or is it D-Man? D-Man, you're up next, aren't you? D-Man's going to do volume profile. What D-Man talks about in volume profile is a continuation of what I just did here on a trading plan, right? I'm talking about point of control, setting up an entry level, support and resistance. D-Man's going to go into this on a much larger scale. He's the master at this. So take what you've learned here and how to set up a trade plan, and then learn how to read VP to help you do that on your own. All right? D-Man, feel free to take it away from me whenever you're ready.